This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your sensei, Brian McMahon. Now, in Season 1 and 2, I got inside the minds of startup investors. In Season 3, I brought in entrepreneurs to share their startup journey. Here, in Season 4, we combine both, so you can hear investors critique the investment value proposition of individual companies. You're going to hear how investors make decisions to invest in startups, what makes a great entrepreneur, and how billion-dollar companies are built. So tune in every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on all the major platforms. You can empower your tribe by sharing the podcast, and remember to subscribe, rate, review, and leave us a comment. It's Brian, it's 10 o'clock, it's Tuesday morning, I'm back, and I want to talk to you about an incredible journey of two entrepreneurs who started a company called Guestwiser. I met them actually at one of our investor festivals many, many moons ago, and I remember afterwards, one of the investors, because for those of you who don't know our investor festivals, we bring in 20, 30, 40 investors, they meet with startups. You know, a lot of the time it's about getting to know each other and going to like the next step maybe. But I always remember the investor at this one particular investor festival come back to me and say, I want to meet you next week because these guys are absolutely awesome. And it was like first time we met. And I thought, shit, I wish every encounter with everyone could be like this. So Luke and David, welcome. Back in the days, that was Guestwiser, right? Today, as you've just expanded, and I think this is what happens with companies, either we started and we stumble along, or we started and it flies. And you guys flew, and you flew so fast that your branding and everything evolved with it. And now the company is Jurny, which is Jurny. Talk to us a little bit about, Luca, maybe you can kick this off, a little bit about just those early days when you first met with John here and you got that investment and it came through, and like how maybe the challenges at the beginning, and then we'll kind of move to the euphoria afterwards of building a business with the complexity that you're building.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the first things that I can talk about is how nervous we were the first time we came here. And I remember the first Invest Festival, and David and I didn't really have a clear idea, how the entire investment world
Sure, we didn't even have a clear idea.
Yeah. And we remember coming here and thinking we got everything figured out, but we were still very nervous. And then pitching all these investors and you're realizing that we were actually pretty far off to where we needed to be. And that was the first time we came here. And I remember coming the second time, I think a couple months later, after we started conversation with different investors, we're a completely different feeling and completely different mood. And not be nervous at all, and actually be very confident of the product that we had and what we created.
Because it's a different world, right? Actually building a great business and building great investor relations are in two entirely different things.
Completely.
Because you don't know these guys at all. You don't know what they're thinking, what they're looking for. They just look at you blankly like you're an idiot.
Exactly.
But it's because you weren't focused on that. You were focused on building a great business.
Correct. And I can add something actually that the quote unquote negative feedback of investor helps startups a lot to figure out what they're doing wrong that they are not even foreseeing, right?
Yeah.
So I remember from the first time we came, there was many things that we thought that we were doing right that we're actually not doing right, and we fixed them. And then when we came back, we were like, okay, well, no, we got it fixed. So starting earlier even than when you're ready, it's actually very helpful.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. What kind of things did you learn, David? Right at the start with the investor feedback.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I was going to say, I want to just cut back a second even before that. When Luke and I partnered up, we had partnered up and we built a business with just our skin and our own money first to a few $1 million in revenue. And we got profitable because we had to make a living off the business. So we had to make the choice to get profitable, make sure we can pay our own family's bills. And then we said, but we're very ambitious individuals. And we said, we want to make something huge. And when the time is right, we're going to raise funding to do that and scale the business. So when we came in, we were nervous. But we were also confident because we were like, we built something already. We're already profitable and we're going to use that. And the investors are going to respect that. But it's true. It's such a different game building a business and pitching an investor and clearly articulating what it is you built and where you want to go. And it's the negative feedback that was everything, as Lucas said, because when we come back and now when we pitch investors for future rounds and pitch even clients. I take it to selling clients our product. It's a whole different world. Once you get that understanding of how to pitch and articulate a product, there's no going back.
Because
It's a great skill set.
And also, it's not a logical progression because you come into it thinking, like what you did, you said it very quickly there, but it's very poignant what you said. We built a business doing revenue of millions of dollars. That's it. Like, that's the holy grail. The holy grail is supposed to be we build these phenomenal businesses which makes money. But if you go to an investor and say, I got this awesome thing we're doing. We have a business where we're bringing in revenue of millions of dollars, and you know what? We're making profits. They're going to say, that sucks. Like, why would you, what would possess you to want to make profits? And you're like, what? Like, that's not what you do if you want a venture-backed business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because the thing is, it's not that it's logical. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. And actually, if we look at many of the venture-backed businesses today, like it's a travesty in American startup that we actually have allowed. I'm watching SoftBank unravel over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you think, how the hell does a pizza delivery business get $400 million? Like, who thought that was a good idea for them just to hire that amount of people? But it wasn't about ever making money. But what was beautiful from your perspective, and I think what attracted the investors so quickly here, was that your focus was on not on the first day, oh, I want to raise money. Your focus was on, I want to build a great business. And when I build a great business, then I want to go into folks and I want to give them the opportunity to help us scale higher. And then we're going to find out how do we scale in a different way. Because it's at that moment you make the decision, we are not going to be a family service business that might do 15, 20, $30 million in revenue. We are going to be a venture-backed business that can do $300+ million in revenue.
Correct.
But it's fascinating, right?
Yeah, correct. That was actually our motivation, right? Like, but we quickly realized that wasn't necessary.
Okay, I gotta stop it. The thing is yeah, you're not even registering in the mic way
Okay.
over there.
So I
You
gotta
sound
get-
fine.
I'm fine. Okay.
How much did we miss?
I mean, I'll just have to deal with it in post. We didn't miss anything, but from here on out, stay closer. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'll. What was that? Vincent, can you give me the last question? Can you remember the last question? What did I
No.
say?
But I was responding to a point, which was
So we're gearing up to do 300. Like we wanted to do a venture.
Yeah.
that
business.
we're
Okay, good.
we're responding
Not a
to
family
actually
business.
scale, like not a family business.
Okay, good. Hey, so Vincent, just take it after that point where I talk about like the absurdities and we build it up to like a $300 million business. Then just cut out anything that Lucas said after that. And then we'll and what he says next is what you're going to count. Okay?
Yeah, actually, to that point, when okay,
And get really
yeah,
close. Get
okay.
really so what you want to
I
do.
gotta think about it because I forgot what I was gonna say. Wait, he's
Family business versus venture back.
Yes,
business.
Yes,
family business
exactly.
versus venture back business. So I said,
Yeah,
so
no,
you want
I
to be
remember
300 million, and then you're
Exactly.
like, yeah, that was our motivation. Just get super close to the mic when you're
okay.
doing
How's
it.
it now? Is it better? Okay, perfect.
Good.
So to that point, actually, we quickly realized that when we started raising money, we thought like, yeah, we have a valuable business. We're making money. Like we're gonna be able to raise money, right? We just want to scale now a business. Like, actually, when we started raising money, we quickly realized that most businesses actually were not making money.
Yeah.
Us having revenue and or profits wasn't necessarily like a benefit.
Yeah.
Right. But
It's all about driving more revenue and more revenue,
Correct.
so you can build the business up.
yes, but thankfully we actually had investors that recognized that value in us. Like awesome investors.
Yeah, because
and-
it's so hard. Like, I mean, to be able to build a business up on your own with just your own skin in the game to a couple of $1 million a year, that's a big, big deal.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the business. Maybe David, like talk to us a little bit about the business and tell us the genesis of the idea and then how you built it and how, because I'm sure every startup and investor listening to this is thinking, how do they manage to get a business up to a couple of $1 million without any real venture investment?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because I was in a previous business. My background is in business development, and it was a family business that I was a part of, but we had done some pretty impressive things. But it wasn't my company. And like as I said, I'm an ambitious individual. I wanted to build my own business. And I was looking in the market and I was thinking what I want to do because I was going to leave my family's business, take the money that I had earned and start something new. I was looking to get into day trading. And I had my eye on the short-term rental market. This is about 3 years ago. There was a lot of movement starting to take place. I believe in my ability to build something. And I thought there's a lot of money there to make. I met Luca through a mutual friend who I had met through my wife. So my wife is the start of all of this.
Yeah.
I met Luca through a dear friend who's a dear friend of mine and also a dear friend of his. And I had heard of Luca for a bunch of years, like we were around in similar circles, but we never met. And my friend is like, you got to meet Luca because you want to day trade and he's great at trading. You guys should talk. And I'm like, perfect. I'm looking for somebody to do this with. So we go for coffee at a place called Tiago, which is right across from WeWork, which is where we started.
Yeah. Crazy.
And we had coffee one morning and he's like, we're talking about trading and about our ambitions and our vision for life and our philosophy about spirituality and business and everything. We really got into a lot of things and there was so much synergy. And I had told him about the short-term rental space, and he's like, you got to hear what I really do for a living. He was already in the space. He was already doing home management, making profit off this newly emerging industry, looking at it in a very unique way. And I'm like, that's exactly the type of mind that I would want to be a
And that's
part
like
of.
holiday rental home management, is it?
Short-term travelers, right? Someone who would
Gotcha.
stay in a Marriott, but looking to stay in an alternative type
Beautiful.
of
So
situation.
that when Airbnb revolutionized this entire industry, this would have been about 5 years into it.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. So he was already doing that. And then you said, I want to join you. But what value did you bring to the partnership at that stage?
So it's interesting. First, I'm like, dude, if you can really tell me what you can make on a property before we invest into a property, I'm just going to go bring you money. I know everybody. I can sell. Let's just go buy properties or lease properties and make money. And that's how it was going to start. But we had so much synergy. And Luca's like, David, like, we got to talk more because if we're going to do this, let's do this right. Let's go into business together. Don't you just go make commission, try to make money. Let's do this together. And I'm like, that was speaking to me because that's what I wanted to do, start my own company. And so he was about to pivot as well. So it was a perfect time to kind of make some pivot, bring in my expertise and do it together. And so actually that's when we adopted the name Guestwiser from a previous name. And so we did that in January 1st, we started of 2017. And we basically hit the ground running. I'm happy to talk about the details of that. But
Amazing. Like, we're only talking 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so you built the revenue up to a couple of $1 million in how long?
It's even better. Luca had $1 million a year coming in already. Wow. We let go of all that business, started from scratch from zero, and in 1 year built our runway to $2.3 million.
Oh, come on.
From zero, though. We let go of all the old business to start all the new business, and that's what we were able to build together in 1 year.
Wow. But so the idea was what? You take care of them, you do entire management, you provide an entire concierge to everybody?
So the idea originally was we had a vision, and it's funny you talked about SoftBank and WeWork. We said, okay, there's something here, but what's long-term and what's scalable?
Yeah.
And Luca's been through a lot. He also dealt with homeowners and management, and he dealt with different facets of the business. He was obsessed.
I had all the wrong friends in life. Like my buddy and me, we used to sell soda on the friggin' beach. Why didn't I know any Lucas? This sucks. Go on.
That's very funny. So
Friggin' true. My life is like a Roman tragedy. Let me tell you. Go on.
So we were obsessing about scalability.
Yeah.
And so, WeWork was booming and growing like crazy, and they're signing leases. We wanted to build technology, innovation, things that would allow us to be almost automated, if you will, around onboarding of apartments, getting them live, operating them, but in a scalable kind of automated way.
Amazing.
And we didn't know exactly what we wanted, but we knew where we wanted to go.
Amazing.
So we started by leasing apartments like everybody else so that we would have the inventory to build our processes and technology around.
Which is brave in itself.
It was brave. We put our own money into it.
You walked away from like having $1 million coming in to actually having negative.
Yes, that's exactly right, actually.
Wow.
We put our own money and raised some debt, and we did it. And that's what we built. So we leased 44 apartments.
Amazing.
We leased them in different cities. So we operate out of Los Angeles. One of the things that we wanted to prove is that data can tell us where we should invest without even having to visit there. And we successfully leased 44 apartments across Dallas and Nashville from Los Angeles, got them up and running and furnished. And if you look at our listings, they're unbelievably designed. all from Los Angeles in digital floor plans, and operate them for a massive profit.
Because people just rent them out for more in short-term rentals. You're geniuses.
Yeah, but we figure out a science, right? Like we figure out science behind on how to make money.
Oh no, this
by
isn't
doing
easy.
this.
I say
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
geniuses. Like I know this. My partner LP, one of the biggest real estate guys in LA. Trust me, I know family apartments and doing them. It's a graveyard for most people. So to be able to create the science and to do it outside your city to start with is huge.
And the first thing we did is to prove those 44 apartments. Sorry, can I like move the microphone a little bit?
No, because he won't be able to get out. He won't be able to
I
get
can
out.
move over a little.
Yeah, can you move over? Because otherwise
talk
it's
loud,
it's
it's fine.
unnatural, and I can't
know,
focus on
you
what
need
I'm
to be
saying when I.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
that's perfect. No, that's good. And then David just
And now I
move
forgot
in.
I'll move in whenever I talk. I'm
Yeah,
used to it.
yeah.
Okay, so like that is it's probably better, right?
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay,
just like
awesome.
like where I am right here is perfect for
Yeah.
the mic. Like you're about 2-3 inches away.
Yeah, I think now it's good.
Yeah, he said
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it sounds good.
44 apartments we leased. but
Yes.
didn't- Yeah.
And as I was no, I'm starting I still that hasn't clicked for me. Just talking for the microphone is like distracting. Yeah, like David mentioned, like we started leasing 44 apartments, and what we wanted to do, he said, we went from year one to go from 0 to $2.3 million in yearly revenues, and that was in the first year. After the second year, we decided not to grow because what we wanted to do, we wanted to perfection the science behind what we were doing. Because our goal was to operate those 44 units with 0 employees on the ground.
Wow.
And we achieved that, right?
Because you outsourced all of the management.
So we automated on the entire management.
Amazing.
Like we develop software. We use technology and hardware specifically to do that. We have electric locks, for example, to that they will update codes automatically every time a guest comes in and comes out to track who's cleaning the units. Each cleaner has its own code, so we know which cleaner cleaned what. So we're able to basically track everything at distance.
Beautiful.
But we had to perfection that.
Beautiful.
So we wanted to perfection that, create a science around it, and then create a scalable model, right? Which we did. And before going and raising money, that's the reason why we went and raised money. We wanted to now that we created a scalable model, we wanted to go and raise money. And so that's what we did after 2 years of operating the business.
Amazing. And then so you took it to that level, you've raised the first amount of money. What's the plan going forward? Because, normally I spend half an hour in this podcast talking about the travesties and how difficult it was and how terrible it was. But you just had a brilliant idea, which you executed phenomenally well. You built automation and structure into it right at the beginning. You bypassed all of that bullshit that I normally need to talk about how hard it was. This was about building and scaling.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I think one of the reasons because both David and I were not our first businesses. Like, we come from different backgrounds, but we've built companies before.
And we hear that a lot in the podcast, by the way. Folks who are doing first businesses, it's just you've no idea of the hell that's coming at you.
Correct. We know that building a business is hell, but that's what we live for, right? So, so yeah, of course it comes with.
It's a predictable hell, right?
It's a predictable hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it wasn't obviously painless, right? Like there's nothing in business that is easy, right? Like,
Yeah.
So we went through struggle, but we knew what we were doing. We had a very clear goal, and we still do. And I think knowing where you want to go and knowing what you're doing, it makes a big difference.
So talk to me about the goal, David.
Yeah,
And by the way, I'll just put this into context. I met a fella called David Johnson over at Virgin Gorda, which is one of the British Virgin Islands. And he was a property developer over in the Midwest. And he said his goal at the beginning, right, when he started off property development, was to develop 10% of all properties in the United States. Like, that was his goal. And it was so audacious and so huge. But I feel with you both that whatever you're going to say to me is going to be equally insanely ambitious.
Absolutely. And so 2 things. One is, Luca touched upon it. when we got negative investor feedback, that helped us a lot because we knew we wanted like the utmost scalability, and it helped us kind of mold our final model, which is never final because, as you know, in business, you need to be innovating every day and thinking 10 steps ahead, or you're never going to grow to the level you want. That's just an absolute rule of thumb. So, but it got to a level where we can now offer it and sell it, which is we don't lease anymore. That was just to get inventory to build our product.
Yeah.
We now offer a management model, but we know who to offer it to and how to offer it and what it needs to be inclusive of to be able to bring a lot of added value to real estate owners. So when we're competing in the space of short-term rental, we're not actually competing with our competition because they offer nothing like what we're offering.
You offer them a service.
We're offering a service that's going to make you more money and align our interests with you, the owner. We can be your hotel brand and make you money.
Because, by the way, every single rental property on the planet wants to be what you do.
Yes.
Nobody wants the hassle of having to manage and going in and deal with stuff in an analog way, but people don't have the expertise to be able to do it themselves. For the sake of a small amount of money per month, they're real happy to outsource that.
Absolutely.
And then talk to me about that trajectory and when that happened and then how that moves forward in the future.
Absolutely. So we closed our round back in April after having gotten to the model where we all agreed with our investors. As Luca said, we had amazing investors who really helped us. Like our lead, who we met here, by the way, at ExpertDOJO.
Yeah, great guy.
Great guy. And he helped us, real genuine guy. And I haven't met a million VCs yet, but from what I hear,
Dude,
he
he's on
stands out as one of
his
the
own.
genuine
John
guys.
is one of the most special guys you'll meet because he cares.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying other VCs don't care. I'm just saying a lot of people will take a more investment banking attitude. He's not only brilliantly smart and very analytical, but he's just a genuine good human being who cares about his startup. So you got lucky. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really glad we had him here, but you chose well and you got lucky.
Absolutely. And so he helped, he really worked with us as our lead to kind of fine tune all of our decks, the model, exactly what we're taking to the market so that it will be investable and it will be scalable. We did that. We got way oversubscribed on our first round. So we were able, again, lucky to choose just the best investors we wanted to be part of the team who we thought can bring intangible value along with the capital. Because the capital was triple what we were asking for,
Incredible.
but we wanted the right people. Me and Luca, it's interesting. We're very, very ambitious alpha male individuals.
No way.
But we're also humble. Yeah. But we also try to live with humility. And so that's also how we work well together.
Yeah, you're good guys.
And so we think that's key because you need help with people no matter how good you think you are. And me and Luca both realize that and we both live by that. So we were able to understand we need the right investors. It's going to be key. It's not just us. We can't go just take money and run with it. We need support and help of the right people. And so they came in, that happened. And now going forward, we have a model. So we've tripled the size of the business since the investment came in.
Amazing.
But what's really amazing is that wasn't what we were focused on yet. We were actually building out certain technologies and things to give us a big runway versus anybody else in the space. And only in the last few months have we really ramped up the outreach. And we're about to triple the new size of the business again in just probably the next 6 weeks or so.
Incredible. With how many extra staff?
Team of 12 right now in the internal office.
Yeah.
We have one person overseas, and then we have a customer service team of 5 people who are also overseas.
Which is still tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny for the kind of revenue that you're bringing in right now. And then you're going to come up. Go on. Sorry, Luca.
Yeah, we're operating 130 units with just the people that he just mentioned. And all hotels operate each room for example, Marriott or Hyatt. They operate each room with 2.2 people
Incredible.
per room.
And then, so talk to me about that ambitious, lofty goal.
Where we're going.
Where are you going?
Well, I mean, I'll speak, and Luca, please add it, but we want to be the premier hotel brand in the world. We believe that what we're doing is the
so
future.
it's a small goal then.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, right? But we believe what we're building really is the future of travel. That's the business model we talked about, but the final goal is to be a consumer brand where people can have instant access to their short-term rental apartment wherever and whenever with the click of an app. And that technology is already built into all of our apartments. So we already have that workable. We just need inventory. Our goal is to have millions of units one day that are Jurny branded hotel units around the world.
And you'll get those inventory from everybody who's got a apartment that they're doing short-term rentals on or that they want to.
So let me speak a little bit about that. we're actually selective on what we take. We only work with multifamily complexes in like great. They have to be in desirable locations and in great buildings. Like we don't. So we're pretty selective, but even that amount of inventory is almost unlimited.
Of course.
If you look at the worldwide inventory, right, we're talking about millions of units, right?
Yes.
So, but our goal was to align our interests with the ones of the owners, and to create a product where that doesn't create any extra work to the owner, and at the same time increases their profits, right? Wanted to create a product that is almost too good to be true, which
Yeah, beautiful.
almost is too good to be true when we pitch it, right?
Yeah.
But every single person that has worked with us
Has made more money.
made more money, and guess what? Has invested more.
Yeah.
Right?
There's so many.
We're like
Go on.
we're raising money for work to have work capital, but we don't have to raise money to acquire inventory, right? Because people will invest for us because the interests are aligned.
You're
Once-
really raising money to scale fast.
Correct.
That's the only
But
reason.
if somebody owns a small multifamily complex with 10 units, and now he sees that he's making 3 times than he was making before, that person is going to say, I'm not going to give you 10 units. I'm going to give you 100 units
course.
next time. So people grow with us. Our goal was to align the interests, again, with the owners to build businesses with them, right? We always said if we do it for ourselves, we'll become rich. But that's not what we want to do. We wanted to really create a solution for this market. So by aligning our interests, like really, we will have entrepreneurs, developers, and real estate people around the world all working in conjunction with us to build the new way of traveling.
Plus, you've done a few things. There's a few things you're doing which are really exciting. Number one, you're changing the Silicon Valley model. The Silicon Valley model was little value, lots of users, zero loyalty, less profit, actually loss, right? That was the model, right? You're changing that to massive value, huge win-win for all parties involved, massive referral, higher loyalty, and higher profits. And by the way, the ones who wins the most are the folks who are your clients who get higher profits again. So it's a step up on every single level. So that is huge. And actually to a stage that I have been for the past couple of years, but especially last year, really worried about America. Like I'm really worried about the state of entrepreneurship in America. I'm worried about the folks that we invest in. I'm worried about some of the companies that are broken through. And I'm worried about what it's doing to us as the top entrepreneurship nation on the planet. And I think people are eating our lunch because of it. So for me, it's super exciting when I see you come through, because it's not just the fact that like we met the first time in the dojo, and I love the fact that you got John here, and I love the fact that you've built the business, and I love the fact that we keep interacting and working together as I see you guys grow and get bigger. But I think you can make a really strong statement in California and in America, which is, you know what, screw this whole we can beat our competitors by having unfairly subsidized venture prices. We can beat our competitors by, forcing them out of business, not because we're better, but because we just happen to have more money than them. Like, you're coming in and providing great services that help everyone. And that has to be the new model, because we have to get back to a place where we start leading in entrepreneurship again. So I see my goal with you is even bigger, of just you can make all of the friggin' stuff that's happened over the last couple of years go away and turn into a whole way better future. So it's awesome. What I also love is the fact that for entrepreneurs listening, everything you're talking about is obsessive aggression on growth, revenue, and profits. And that's what people should be learning. We should absolutely iterate. We should absolutely make sure our product is good. We should absolutely make sure that folks are happy with it. But we should drive the revenue and the bottom line and make sure that we get great businesses. So as role leaders, you're doing an amazing job here. And then finally, I just want to move to the raise that you're going to go to next. So now you're moving up a big level, right? What type of investors are we looking for? How much are you looking to raise, if you want to share that? But just give us a little bit of a feel for investors that are listening into this podcast, how they can get engaged with you from now going forward.
For sure. I start, and then David, feel free. So we raised our seed round about 8 months ago right now. We raised $1.75 million.
Yeah.
and we raised a $2 million credit venture debt of credit line plus another $700,000 of working capital in that.
Yep.
So that was like our initial raise.
Yep.
And now we're a couple months away from start actively looking, and we're looking at $20 million.
Yep. Series A.
Series A
Very
for
good.
$20 million, and we have already venture debt dedicated that they're going to be matching just as much as we're going to be raising in Series A.
Yeah, so you're going for it. This is it. And I love that. This is 2020, man. It's a new decade. We're looking to, like, there's no tiptoeing into this and seeing what's going to happen. You got to go properly. And then with that 20 million that you raise, where do you expect the revenue to go to, and what do you expect to happen with the business, possibly over the following 12 months?
Well, so what's interesting again is as we were profitable before, and we can actually turn profitable at any time. We keep the company in that stage at all times.
Yeah.
With the amount of units, the amount of revenue, and how much we push it, and how much we push our burn. With the point of raising that much capital is because we want to be able to get real market dominance right away at that stage. And that capital will allow us to do that. It's to build out our infrastructure, our technology stack, the internal company itself, to be able to handle the management of tens of thousands of apartments around the world. As we've proven, we can manage around the world. We can manage in different cities from LA, but you got to do it right. So we need to have the infrastructure to handle that many units. This raise will allow us to do that. Another thing that's interesting is the debt piece. The reason why we also want to raise a debt piece is we offer incentives and we help remove the barrier for owners to be able to partake of this industry. There are costs associated with getting hotels up and running and things like that. And this debt piece, the point of it is to help support owners in getting them up and running, and we always just make our profit back later. So that's the goal of this round. And we have something right now that nobody in the space has in terms of our offering to the market and our capability to run the way we do. So we can raise a smaller A and then go for a bigger B, etc. But we don't want to be caught. And right now we're not being caught. So we need to raise as much as possible and get as big as possible, as fast as possible right at this time.
You know, it's really funny. You remind me of a younger Regis. When Regis first set out, not a WeWork, but I don't know if you know the story of Regis, but he grew from having 2 or 3 business centers to having, I think, 8,000 business centers. And like, if you look at them conversely to WeWork, I don't know, 200-300 locations. Regis have 7,000-8,000 locations. They build it up. They got 30% profit margins on their space. They built unique units back in the day. They have perfect floor sizes that they know where they can make money from it. They haven't not returned shareholders' dividends in 10 years. And they haven't not made money in 10 years. So I see you going through this massive scale over the next 3 to 4 years, and then putting yourself into a position whereby you have your management team in place, you have your service team in place, you have tens of thousands of apartments in place, and you're just getting ching, 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 ching for every single day that goes by.
Yeah, our profit margins are pretty impressive.
Yeah, I can see that. That's brilliant. So for all you investors out there, you heard it here. This is the company to go after. Can you just share, I'd like you to share, if you can, email address, either for Luca or David, whoever you prefer, and then website, so they have it. And then a lot of the time I ask in folks that I'm with in the fridge, because this is the warmest fridge on the planet, right? Especially in the afternoon. So when we're in the fridge, I'll normally say, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs? But I'm not going to ask you that because you're growing like a friggin' rocket ship. I want to ask you, after you give your email and your website, I want a statement to investors of what you're going to do for them when they invest in you.
Sounds great. Well, I'll give you my email. It's david@jurny.com. It's fairly simple, DAVID @jurny.com. Jurny's JURNY, and that's our website, jurny.com, JURNY.com.
Perfect. Now, statement to investors. What are you telling them? They're coming in for 20 million. What's going to happen?
I'll start. Every once in a while, a special company comes along where there's an opportunity for massive exits, an opportunity to truly disrupt a space. We actually watch the WeWork situation very closely, have a lot of intel into the situation, and the investors, SoftBank in particular, believed that was one of those special companies that was coming about. That's why they funneled them with so much cash to grow. We knew that there were inherent flaws in the model. We believe we fixed those flaws in our space, and our space is ripe for disruption in a long-term changing way, not just to grow and have an exit, but to create long-term value that in 30 years from now, what we're working on is what people are going to be expecting all over the world in 30 years from now. This is the future. So if you get in with us now, you can be part of what's going to be written in the history books one day. That's what we believe.
Boom, baby. I love it. That's a wrap. I got nothing to add to that. Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by ExpertDOJO. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.